Hey, folks! Today's episode is sponsored by one of my favorite sponsors. Of course, I'm talking about sunsetlakesebede.com. Here's the sign.
Upside down.
And it's upside down, ladies and gentlemen. It is sunsetlakesebede.com. You will notice, however, I am hiding the coupon code. Why? Because our friends at Sunset Lake know it's not always easy to feel thankful these days. So they wanted to extend their thanks to this show, our amazing listeners, and a special shout out to Brian for basically clearing out the volume of their lifted tea. They
You're
don't
welcome,
even have
Sunset.
they saved on warehousing costs this year. The first way they're saying thank you is by making a $5,000 donation to the Vermont Food Bank in the wake of all the SNAP cuts and delays and whatnot. That type of support is desperately needed, and that's the type of company these guys are. sunsetlakesebede.com. They are movement partners. They have donated tens of thousands of dollars in the years that we've been working with them to things like carceral reform and Planned Parenthood and refugee resettlement, strike funds. The list goes on and on. They're a great company. They have great farming practices, no pesticides in any of their Sebede products. They use regenerative farming technique to take care of the land. Just all around great business practices, great political practices, and great farming practices. And it leads to really some great product. And right now, you can save 30% site-wide when you head to sunsetlakesebede.com. Use the code Friday25. That's the word Friday and the numbers 2 and 5, no spaces. They've got tinctures that help you relax, tinctures that help you sleep, tinctures that help your dogs relax. They have gummies that help you sleep, gummies that help you relax, gummies with a little THC that help you have some fun. They have that lifted tea. It's amazing. Really, I would stock up on that for the holidays, frankly. But they also have smokables. They have Sebede fudge and coffee. All their products are great. And now, not only do you get 30% off with the coupon code Friday25, if your order is over $125, Sunset Lake's going to throw in a free citrus-flavored 750 milligram Sebede tincture. Head over to sunsetlakesebede.com. Use the code Friday25 to save 30% on all their wellness products for people and pets. Sale ends December 1st at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. See their site for full terms and conditions. And also sponsoring the program today, it's getting towards the holidays, folks. So we got a lot of ads, and they are timely. One of our sponsors today is Naked Wines. What is Naked Wines? It is the best way for you to buy wine. It is some of these bottles are going to be served at my Thanksgiving dinner. You walk into a grocery store, you walk into a packy, you're like, what wine should I get? I have no idea. Then somebody comes over, you don't know if they're telling you they're making up stories or if it's just like this is a wine they need to move. And so they pretend it, I don't know, it was that it's nutty or roasted, whatever. It's very difficult sometimes to assess wines. And I'm done buying wine that way. This podcast is sponsored by Naked Wines. Naked Wines is a wine club that directly connects you to the world's best independent winemakers. So you get world-class wines delivered straight to your door. The huge benefit is they cut out the middleman. So the wines are unbelievably reasonably priced, and particularly at a time where wines are going through the roof. You can use our code MAJORITY for the code and the password at nakedwines.com, and you will get $100 off your first order. That's 6 bottles of wine for just $39.99. There's your Thanksgiving dinner. Unless, of course, it's around my house, in which case you need 12 bottles, but that's all right. It's a little bit tougher for us to get through the whole dinner. They've got some of my favorite naked wines that I've had recently was a Tuscan that apparently has Sangiovese, Merlot, and Cabernet Sauvignon grape in it. They've got I had a Shiraz that was from France. I'm a Shiraz and a Sangiovese and that Tuscan type of guy. But they have all sorts of wines. Whites, reds, Cabernets, big wines, smaller wines, mellow wines. It just makes it so easy. And for those who've listened to the program for a long time know that my sister is a bit of a wine snob. And when she okays wines, then you know they're good. Naked Wines has been around for over 15 years and backs over 90 independent winemakers around the world to make wine you love to drink. Now is the time to join Naked Wines community. Head to nakedwines.com/majority. Click enter voucher. Put in our code majority for both the code and the password. You'll get $100 off your first order. That's 6 bottles for only $39.99 with shipping including. That's $100 off your first 6 bottles at nakedwines.com/majority. Use the code and password majority to get 6 bottles of wine for $39.99. Really easy service. Super easy to pause if you don't want to, if you're going away or you've had enough wine for the time being. Check it out. We'll put all that in the podcast and YouTube description. Now, time for the show.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
Sam Seder.
They are unanimous in their hate for me, and I welcome their hatred.
We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
Ever get the feeling you've been cheated?
It is Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Hunter Demster, co-founder of Vecindarios 901, a rapid response community organization in Memphis, Tennessee that monitors ICE operations and trains immigrants about their rights to protect their community. And then Sabina Aguerre, a Starbucks barista from Columbus, Ohio, on to discuss the ongoing strike against Starbucks and the consumer boycott. And, of course, contract negotiations to the extent that there are any. Epstein file disclosure bill headed to Trump's desk after voted on quickly in the Senate. Who knows what he's up to? Meanwhile, Trump authorizes the CIA to engage in covert actions in Venezuela. That same Trump regime, yeah, I know.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anybody. Trump regime announces that they are beginning the dismantling of the Department of Education. A Trump-appointed federal judge blocks Texas's redistricting as a racist gerrymander. Midterms are looking a little more bleak for Donald Trump right now. ICE wrapping up in Charlotte, North Carolina, supposedly, as job sites grind to a halt, and 20% of students skip school on Monday. Federal judge rules in favor of Meta, finds it was not engaging in anti-competitive practices. Crappy ruling. Republican Texas Governor Abbott declares a Muslim civil rights group as a terror organization. New polls are out. Trump's approval at the lowest ever of this term, according to Reuters. And according to Marist, Dems are overperforming in generic head-to-head polling. They're now around 2017 numbers. Government publishes partial jobs numbers, but it shows a sharp increase in the unemployment rolls. All this, more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Wednesday. It is Hump Day. Emma Vigeland out today. However, I have paid her a license fee to use that coinage of Hump Day. I don't know if you knew this, Brian, but she came up with that
Really?
saying. Yeah.
I've heard that for a long time.
Yeah, she said it. She came up with it a long time ago.
Good for her.
Yep.
Why is she still working?
I know it. She didn't do a job in actually getting it trademarked or whatever it is. We got a lot to get to. Donald Trump is becoming increasingly agitated. Listen, I've been down this road too many times to get too, out in front of my skis, with this stuff. Trump apparently is going to sign the law that will supposedly force the administration to release the Epstein files. I am sure we're going to get a version of it that is going to be so redacted, it's going to look like, I don't know. If I walked into the ring with Mike Tyson at the peak of his powers, my face would be just empty of teeth. We're going to see that type of redaction on this. The only names that are going to be there are going to be Democrats, would be my guess. Nevertheless, he's clearly irritated by this. And he also, I would imagine, is even more irritated today after that Texas ruling, because his chances of holding the House, regardless if the Texas ruling holds and California continues with their gerrymander, because this one was struck down, not because it's a gerrymander. You can gerrymander to the full hilt, according to the Supreme Court, but you cannot do it based with a racial intent. And the judge made it absolutely clear, the Trump-appointed judge, that it was. We'll get into that in a bit.
So many rules.
But Donald Trump is so agitated these days, and he has welcomed really the guy who has put hundreds of millions, if not billions, into his pocket and is going to be putting billions more to the White House. He's got him surrounded in gold lame. And then someone has the indignity of asking a question that, of course, the most obvious question to ask at that point. What number is this? Trump is asking the question. It is ABC's Mary Bruce. We got two questions she asked, and watch this.
Fit to our need in Saudi Arabia and fit to our investment strategy.
Mr. President, is it appropriate, Mr. President, for your family to be doing business in Saudi Arabia while you're president? Is that a conflict of interest? And Your Royal Highness, the U.S. intelligence concluded that you orchestrated the brutal murder of a journalist. 9/11 families are furious that you are here in the Oval Office. Why should Americans trust you? And the same to you, Mr. President.
Now, who are you with?
I'm with ABC News, sir.
You're with who?
ABC News, sir.
Fake news. ABC fake news. One of the worst in the business. But I'll answer your question.
Thank you.
I have nothing to do with the family business. I have left, and when I've devoted 100% of my energy. What my family does is fine. They do business all over. They've done very little with Saudi Arabia, actually. I'm sure they could do a lot. And anything they've done has been very good. That's what we've done. We've built a tremendous business for a long time. I've been very successful. I decided to leave that success behind and make America very successful. And I've made America more successful by far than it ever was, and that it ever could have been, no matter who was president. There would be nobody bringing in $21 trillion, that I can tell you right now. As far as this gentleman is concerned, he's done a phenomenal job. You're mentioning somebody that was extremely controversial. A lot of people didn't like that gentleman that you're talking about. Whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. But he knew nothing about it. And we can leave
Pause it for a second. Just for those of you who are younger, perhaps, or weren't paying attention to the news, the thing that happened to Khashoggi, who was a writer for the Washington Post and a green card holder, I believe, was that he was tricked into going to the embassy. He was met there, the Saudi embassy in Turkey, if I'm not mistaken,
Istanbul.
and was then met with a cadre of thugs sent by MBS. Now, this is not my assessment of this. This is the U.S. intelligence assessment of this. And then was killed and chopped into small pieces and then put into, what was it, a vat?
A tandoori well.
A tandoori well with goat so that the body wouldn't smell that much.
Well,
literally chopped up into pieces and then burnt.
Stuff happens.
And that's the stuff that happens. And it might be the case that, and sometimes he wrote some controversial things. So, I just
The journalist?
Yeah, there you go.
We can move on to part 2.
Let's move on to part 2. So here's Donald Trump. He's very, very upset. You don't speak to my patron / guest in the White House that way.
Yeah. You don't embarrass my guest.
I can't.
I said this when the Bahrain guy was there too, but do you think the MBS is like, this is a little gaudy?
Exactly.
A little.
Tone it back.
A little too much. And he's probably also thinking like, wow, this guy really is kissing my ass.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had my ass kissed, but this is really like,
is unbelievable.
I mean, I've had people killed by just simply nodding my head and have them chopped up into pieces. But this guy over here, he is kissing my ass for a couple $1 billion. Go ahead.
6 months. I mean, I don't do these reports. They say 0 people have been able to come in. Is that pretty good?
Mr. President, why wait for Congress to release the Epstein files? Why not just do it now?
You know, it's not the question that I mind, it's your attitude. I think you are a terrible reporter. It's the way you ask these questions. You start off with a man who's highly respected, asking him a horrible, insubordinate, and just a terrible question. And you could even ask that same exact question nicely. You're all psyched up. Somebody psychs you over at ABC. They're going to psych. You're a terrible person and a terrible reporter. As far as the Epstein files is, I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert. But I guess I turned out to be right. But you know who does have? Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, who ran Harvard, was with him every single night, every single weekend. They lived together. They went to his island many times. I never did. Andrew Weissman, I hear. All these guys were friends of his. You don't even talk about those people. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax to try and get me not to be able to talk about the $21 trillion that I talked about today.
He seems a little irritated. You know what they should have done is if he had all this information on the Epsteins and the Democrats, he should have released that.
I know.
It's a hoax, but it also implicates them more than me.
It's totally fake by the Democrats, but they're all going to boomerang and how could you ask this poor man, and not literally poor, and also not poor in any way. How dare you? Insubordination.
I think we should let this roll a little bit longer because the FCC stuff, I think.
Oh, yeah. You keep going.
Yeah.
It's a hoax. Now, I just got a little report, and I put it in my pocket, of all the money that he's given to Democrats. He gave me none, 0, no money to me. But he gave money to Democrats. And people are wise to your hoax. And ABC's, your company, your crappy company, is one of the perpetrators. And I'll tell you something.
So why not just sign it now?
I think the license should be taken away from ABC because your news is so fake and it's so wrong. And we have a great commissioner, the chairman, who should look at that because I think when you come in and when you're 97% negative to Trump, and then Trump wins the election in a landslide, that means obviously your news is not credible, and you're not credible as a reporter. So I've answered your question. You should go and look at the Democrats who received money from Epstein, who spent their time. Larry Summers was with him all the time.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I don't want to, it's important. He's right about Larry Summers. Just about everything else was incorrect, however. But nevertheless, let the chips fall where they may. I'm very happy to hear all that, but it is quite clear this is a very, very agitated man. Very, very agitated. And we can't know exactly what's agitating him, but we get a hint. We get a hint. And his polling is not helping him. And I can only imagine how he's reacting in the White House now, because those last 2 years of his presidency are going to be a lot less fun, it seems to me, if Congress is hauling in his family members to find out exactly how much money they are making in Saudi Arabia. And it's really going to screw up his real estate plans in Gaza, would be my guess. A couple of words from our sponsors, and then we'll be talking to Hunter Demster, co-founder of Vecindarios 901, which is a rapid response community organization in Memphis, Tennessee. First off, I want to say thank you to Snarky Norsky, who sent us some gifts in the office for the holidays. Very much appreciated. Also, it is the giving season, as you know. There have been massive cuts to foreign aid. We have lost, it's quite possible by now, literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of children have died because of these cuts that were made by the Trump regime. It's hard to know what's actually happening on the ground. It's also hard to know how to help. GiveWell.org doesn't claim to have all the answers, but its team of researchers are analyzing the impact of foreign aid funding cuts in real time. They are identifying highly cost-effective ways to save and improve lives and sharing what they're learning for free so that everyone can have a big impact. GiveWell has spent 18 years researching global health and poverty alleviation, only directs funding to the highest impact opportunities they found. Over 150,000 donors have already trusted GiveWell to direct more than $2.5 billion. Rigorous evidence suggests these donations will save over 300,000 lives and improve the lives of millions more. You can find all of their research and recommendations on their site for free. Thanks to the donors who chose to sponsor their research, GiveWell does not take a cut from your tax-deductible donation to their recommended funds. I've been using GiveWell for, maybe close to a decade. I have found a lot of great charities there through the years. I have been really genuinely impressed by the research they do and the way they hold themselves to account. They have a whole vertical of mistakes they have made in the past. The mistakes are a little sniggly, but I really appreciate that they hold themselves to account on these mistakes. It may be in some type of analysis they did or something to that effect, or just in leaving out some citations or whatever. But they really do rigorous research. It is funded by donors. So all of the money you give goes directly to these charities. And you can see exactly why you would give to any given charity. I found Give Directly from them. I don't know if Give Directly is one of the ones that they are focusing on now, but I found a lot of great charities through there all over the years. If this is your first gift through GiveWell, you can have your donation matched up to $100 before the end of the year, as long as matching funds last. To claim your match, go to givewell.org and pick podcast. Enter the Majority Report at checkout. Make sure they know that you heard about GiveWell from the Majority Report, and you will get your donation matched. Again, that's givewell.org. Enter the Majority Report to donate and or to find out more. We'll put a link to givewell.org in the YouTube and podcast description. Also sponsoring the program today, another product that I've been using way before they ended up becoming a sponsor, and it's Delete Me. Fairly obvious why I might want to use Delete Me. Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance, data breaches are common enough to make everyone vulnerable. Of course, also doxing and whatnot. I will tell you, This does not happen to me, but it happened to my sister. She got a phone call. They supposedly knew her name. They didn't know what bank, but they took a guess, and they said there's a weird check situation and blah, blah, blah. And that's what they do. They get information from the dark web, or they buy your broker information from brokers, from media brokers, and they put it together and they go on fishing expeditions, or they steal your identity. And Delete Me takes all of that stuff that that brokers sell, and you can Google it and find like one of these People Finder or whatever it is, and you will see that all this type of information is there. Delete Me knows your privacy is worth protecting. You sign up, you provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted. Their experts take it from there. And then Delete Me sends you regular personalized privacy reports. So they show what they found, what they've removed, where they found it, et cetera, et cetera. And they do this on a regular rolling basis because these broker sites, these data broker sites, repopulate. So Delete Me is not a one-time service. It is constantly chugging in the background. Not on your phone, but I'm saying it's they're constantly working for you. Thanks to Delete Me for sponsoring the Majority Report. Take control of your data. Keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now at a special discount for our listeners, get 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to this website, joindeleteme.com/majority. That is joindeleteme.com/majority. Use the promo code majority at checkout. The only way to get 20% off, go to joindeleteme.com/majority. Enter code majority at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/majority. Code is majority. And lastly, sponsoring the program today, Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics is a pre-alcohol probiotic drink. It is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It is the first drink that I had on the night that Mom Donnie won. So we were able to go into and the next day I felt fine. And I can tell you, if I had not had my Z-Biotics beforehand, if that was not the first drink of the night, I would not have been as good a shape the next day. I went to another social function, if you can believe it, just on Monday night for a couple of hours. But I had a couple of drinks, but the first one I had was Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink. And next morning, I feel great. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct and not dehydration that's to blame for the rough days after drinking. And what pre-alcohol does is it produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember, you make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night, you drink responsibly, you'll feel your best tomorrow. You want to work out, you work out. You want to just walk to work, you want to do a 3-hour podcast, you can do it. Honestly, I notice a big difference the next day. You can make the most of every toast, tailgate, and touchdown this holiday season. Just don't forget to bring the pre-alcohol along for the ride. Go to zbiotics.com/majority to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use majority at checkout. Z-Biotics backed with a 100% money back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they're going to refund your money. No questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/majority. Use the code majority at checkout. You will get 15% off. All of that info in the podcast and YouTube descriptions. Quick break. When we come back, Hunter Demster. We are back. Sam Seder on the Majority Report. Emma Vigeland out today. Joining me now, Hunter Demster, co-founder of Vecindarios. Did I say that right? I'm sorry. Say again.
Vecindarios.
Vecindarios 901, which is a rapid response community organization. It's in Memphis, Tennessee. You guys monitor ICE. You train immigrants about their rights to help protect your community. Hunter, welcome to the program. I want to just show a couple of clips of, I think you are shooting most of these things, but I think we'll play a couple of them. It gives you a sense of what you're doing. And I have to say, I was really, really impressed. You're all over the place. And I want to ask you about this, but here, we'll play these clips.
Nah, they just pulled up.
Right? So if you heard them, all these agents roll up for some folks playing cards. We got TBI. FBI, IRS. Okay, I'm just keeping.
All right, let's play another one. Those are people playing cards. We'll get another one up here. Here we go.
So we got a call from a family terrorized, hiding in the closet because 100+ agents showed up at their house. They asked for a warrant. They didn't provide it. The agents busted in the door. And all the ICE agents stole their fucking children. These are ICE agents right here holding the babies. All HSI, which are the main culprits and the state troopers. Those are the two main ICE operatives in the Memphis task force. All federal agents are asking for papers, so they're all ICE agents. But these are explicitly ICE agents. And they stole this fucking baby, y'all. It's time to stand up and fight back. Fuck no.
All right, let's play one or two more. I mean, you could almost pick them from that list in random. No, go to one more. Yeah.
What are you saying?
Step back.
Lawful order. How do I know you? Who are you? Are you law enforcement? There you go, lawful order.
Yeah, he's putting his finger over his badge number, it looks like to me. But so Hunter, just give us a little backstory. How did you start this organization? Why did you start this organization?
Well, I'm a co-founder. There was a group of us involved. I've been organizing for over 14 years now. And a good friend of mine, Maria Oseja, had been living in Colorado and moved back. And so the Vecindarios 901 is modeled after the Colorado Rapid Response Network. So we have a dispatcher who's on duty 24/7, and we train what we call confirmers across Shelby County in the city of Memphis. So if you think you see ICE somewhere, you call the number, or bilingual dispatcher will send a mass text blast to hundreds of people we've trained throughout the county. But yeah, and so we started this during the first Trump presidency when they were separating children and the uptick in ICE was going on, and it was something had to be done. I mean, these are my friends and family and neighbors that they're kidnapping. And so this new iteration of what's going on with the Memphis Safe Task Force, I don't think anybody was prepared for the level and the amount of federal officers and local officers involved in this. But we're just concerned citizens who lead with love, for lack of a better word.
Well, I will say, we've been talking about this in the office. We've seen a lot of coverage of Charlotte. Obviously saw a lot of coverage of Chicago, a lot of coverage of LA. But for whatever reason, and I don't know if, I can Google the Memphis and see what's going on there, but it's not getting a lot of coverage. Tell us what's going on there, because I'm a little bit confused with they sent in the National Guard, they ostensibly did it as a crime. Tell us how you understand what's happening and how long it's been going on for.
So one of the biggest difference here in Memphis is Trump created the Memphis Safe Task Force. And what that looks like in practice is they sent 1,500 federal agents, 20 different agencies.
This is sort of more like what they did in DC in a way.
Yeah, I see more similarities with that than I do Portland or any of the other cities. But one of the biggest differences, our Republican governor, Bill Lee, also sent in 300 troopers, our local sheriff's department, who are part of the 287G program. So what they're doing is mass pullovers more than anything else. And so the realities is the two biggest Hispanic neighborhoods, one of them I live in the heart of, all those agents are just surrounding these neighborhoods and staying on the biggest streets. And so they are racially profiling. They are driving around looking for anybody that has brown skin. And so the stops are always instigated by a Memphis police officer, a Shelby County sheriff, or a state trooper. And they are being followed by between 1 and 10 unmarked cars with 2 to 4 federal agents inside of each car.
Oh, jeez.
After the state trooper pulls you over, you're surrounded by 10, 15 federal agents demanding your papers or just yanking you out of the car to begin with.
So why do they need I mean, it sounds like there's some type of, I don't want to say fig leaf, but is it that the state cops or the county sheriffs have authority to pull over, they have the authority to do these sort of like rolling, I don't know, stops. I mean, why do they need the cops to be doing that part of it?
Well, I think from my understanding, it boils down to federal law. If you're a federal agent, you have to enforce federal law. And I'm not sure having a broken tail light falls federal purview. And it's also a way that they're skirting the responsibility. Like, we have a Democratic mayor and a police chief who says we're not working with ICE. And so when they do the pullover and then they go, well, it's out of our hands. The federal government can do whatever they want.
Are the local police doing the pullover, or is it the state cops?
All three.
Oh, geez. Okay. So they pull over and they say, like, we're just checking your registration or your tail light or something like that. The person speaks in Spanish or says their name, and the ICE guys come in. That's probable cause because you sound like you have a Mexican accent, or that you have a Latin last name or something like that.
Absolutely. And the state troopers explicitly have that 287G contract. So most of them have been trained in the immigration enforcement. And when there's different percentages where if you have this many officers doing immigration work, the work of ICE agents, they pay that state trooper's entire yearly salary. And there's bonuses and up to 25% overtime. And I think it's very relevant that Core Civic, the largest for-profit prison industrial complex, is based here in Nashville. So that's why I'm not surprised to see the state trooper picking up the bulk of the racial profiling going on.
So give me a sense of, like, do you guys have, in Charlotte, the word is supposedly that the surge of ICE people are going to be pulling out of there in the next couple of weeks, or next couple of days, I'm sorry, and then moving down to New Orleans within the couple of weeks. Do you have any sense of a timeline for Memphis, or it just seems like they've camped out there because they have such a, they have this integration that it doesn't feel like we've seen in other places?
Right. So two things. One of them is I have a video recording of a woman who was pulled over speaking to a Border Patrol agent. And he said that they would be here until November of 2026. So we got a whole nother. And then, there's 1,500 agents filling up the hotels around the city. And a lot of the migrants who work there have messaged me and told me that they paid for their rooms for an entire year. So this is going to be a long game strategy for us.
All right. Wow. I get a lot more questions here. Before we get to, like, how these type of things can be started in other communities, like, how are you guys planning? And I would imagine on some level, like, there's some stuff that you don't want to necessarily talk about. And obviously, if there's something that you don't want to talk about, just don't talk about it. Because the idea that somebody in one of these offices would watch this video and get, some tips as to what you guys are planning. Obviously, they can go after themselves. But what are you looking to do that is quite clear to the public at this point in terms of like scaling up and how what do you need other people to do to help you to do that?
Right. I mean, to some degree, we're watching the watchers, we're watching the police. Like you can see a physical change when you have that camera on them, for one thing. We're also adapting other strategies from across, the different cities that had this going on. Like we just purchased over, thousands of whistles. We're doing monthly trainings, and we've had over 100 people at each training coming out. And I'd say volunteers, and it's not just going out and filming the police and confronting the police. Like the one video that you showed, where the ICE agents were holding the 2 toddlers. They literally launched tear gas into this house, and they did not know why. Like I looked in one of those videos, there's an FBI agent who said, "We didn't know what was going on. You should have told us." And we're like, they demanded a search warrant and you didn't give it. But anyways, what comes with that is helping these families after people are taken and deported. We got a call last week where a mom and a dad got pulled over for a broken tail light, sent to an ICE facility. That evening, we get a call from a babysitter who was getting paid to watch their 4-year-old who could not keep the child. So we're not only plugging them in with attorneys, there's sometimes childcare involved. There are graphics. There is dissecting all the data that we have. There's 8 helicopters, including a Black Hawk, that is circling the whole city overnight, correlating that to the calls there's an endless amount of help that we need. So you can follow us on Vecindarios 901 on Facebook or Instagram, or message us.
And are you guys doing anything like, car repair? I would imagine like if people are getting pulled over for, a cracked headlight or a headlight that's out or something like that, fixing people's cars is a great way at least to, provide some level of protection.
Since this occupation began, a coalition has formed called Free the 901. Trying to end the occupation. And one of the groups is called Decarcerate Memphis. And I was also a co-founder of that group, but we actually have a brake light clinic coming up this Sunday. So it's once again, the surge and the amount. Prior to this, we were getting 3 to 5 calls a day. Lately, we've been getting 140 calls a day.
Oh, geez.
So it's like, it's been real hard to scale up as quickly as we have needed to, but we're managing.
Where can people give donations again?
If you can find us on Facebook, Vecindarios 901, we have a Venmo link and a Cash App link, but we're a complete grassroots organization. We're not a 501c3. At the end of the day, we don't want to be beholden to that right now.
Right.
Especially with Trump coming after groups like this and getting.
You don't have to explain that to me. We'll put a link to your Facebook page so that if people want to send money via Venmo or however they can do so. What would you suggest? We know that ICE is heading down to New Orleans. I imagine they're going to come to New York. I imagine they're going to come. I don't know the other cities, but we can imagine they're going to be going to other urban centers around the country in a concerted effort. Which is not to say they're not heading to rural areas, but it's just not the same. They don't have the same return on investment, I guess, for them. What would you suggest Because I imagine your hands are full right now in terms of like dealing with your own crisis in your city. So you don't necessarily have the time that you would have had 6 months ago to help people set up their own versions of this.
Right.
But is there what are the, I don't know, 3 or 4 basic things that people need to do? Is there any type of document out there that somebody has that anybody ever put together, like for a playbook for this? If somebody go ahead.
I mean, yeah, and there's several groups. Like before all these feds came into town, I was on calls with LA and DC. So, if you're an organizer, these resources are out there. And even though we're dealing with all this and we're all overwhelmed and at capacity, this is what we do, and we are happy to pass on information. So once again, just DM the Facebook post or Vecindarios901@ProtonMail. Email us. We're happy to share these resources and plug you into these other groups that help build us up and that are helping build us up. So,
well, and do you guys have like a Blue Sky or a Twitter profile? Are you guys posting the videos in any of these? Like, how do you use the videos? Like, what is the value of them to you? Aside from obviously like the changes that you described in the ICE thugs response when they see a camera there, but what's the utility of the videos after the fact?
All right. So when Vecindarios was first founded, we were getting a lot of calls that suspected ICE activity, but it was really just the Memphis police doing an operation, and ICE wasn't involved at that point. So we would do a social media post with pictures or a video saying this is a Memphis police operation, not ICE. So it's warning the public about where these officers currently are. The difference nowadays is all 1,500 federal agents are acting as ICE officers, right? So we've had to shift. And so if the feds are doing their pullovers, it's confirmed ICE activity with HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, leading the charge. And that just makes me think about like one of the differences that Memphis may be falling under the radar again, is, when you're sending, what's his name, Bovino, whatever, and he's sending his thugs in, he comes in like a damn hammer. That's not necessarily what's happening here.
Right.
There is Border Patrol agents, there is ICE agents, but you're just as likely to run across an IRS agent holding an assault rifle at a traffic stop, right? Demanding papers. So, yeah.
That's nuts.
It's
wow. And do you guys post the videos?
Yeah.
On Facebook, is that it? And Instagram?
Instagram and Facebook primarily. We're, eventually we'll expand, but we've just had more pressing issues right now, and most of the Hispanic community tends to be Instagram and Facebook here more than some of the other social media apps. But once again, nobody's off limits in Memphis, and I think it's very relevant to point out that these predominantly Hispanic neighborhoods are some of the most mixed neighborhoods in the city. And in 1 month, they wrote 20,000 traffic tickets. They are throwing charges on anybody they can, trumped up charges for any reason that they think that they can get away with it. And it is a daily occurrence that I go up and I'm at a scene, I'm filming the police, I go up and talk to the person. They say that I got pulled over for expired tags. I go look at the tags, they're not expired. They say I got pulled over for broken tail light, their tail lights are working fine. It is racial profiling. And Memphis is the poorest metropolitan city in the country. How in the hell do you think coming in and writing 20,000 tickets in 1 month is helping? People that have the money to fix their cars do fix their cars. The level of poverty in this city is, I think, foreign to a lot of people across this city. I run a soup kitchen day in, day out. And today, actually, I took off for this. But we'll serve upward of 350 meals today. And I'm having guests tell me that they're scared to come get lunch because they don't have the money to fix their taillights. We're at the past couple of weeks, we're averaging 2 deaths a week in our jail. You know, like, and my friend Brad Watkins made a great analogy. He said, if your restaurant's having problems, you can't just bring in 20 new servers. You got to have cooks. You got to source your meat. You got to have all these other things in place, you know. And so once again, it's just the whole operation just feels like a setup. We have a progressive district attorney that they're already trying to sabotage, even though they know that the initial traffic stops in themselves were illegal. So everything after that is going to get thrown out. They're already talking about putting systems in place to oversee our district attorney dismissing cases, you know. No investment into our jails, and people are suffering and dying. And an 8 to 12 hour booking process is now taking 3 to 6 days. You know,
all right, let me ask you just one more question. No, I mean, like, what do you think? Is there some type of agenda, like sort of like second order agenda, or is it just like, why Memphis? What is the value to, do you think, the administration outside of like it? And the answer could just simply be Stephen Miller's a psychopath. He's a racist bigot. And this is where they can come in and they can roll up a bunch of Latino people and that's it. Like, do you think there's some other agenda behind this? Like, because I can't figure out the electoral angle on this. You know, people are saying they're staying till November 2026. They're going to end up being poll watchers. Okay, it's possible. Like, that's a huge investment by the federal government to win some local elections. I mean, it's not like, you know, you guys are sending a bunch of Democrats to Washington. What else could it be, do you think?
I mean, to me, it does feel like a testing ground in all these different cities. Like, can we even deploy the National Guard? Will these federal agents fall in line and do whatever we tell them to do? And like you said, I do think the heart of it is just based in racism and the historical relevance of Memphis and the civil rights and being the blackest city in the country. You know, it's like, let's go in there and put our foot on their neck and get these folks under control, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, people are scared to leave their houses. Children are going hungry because they're not going to the grocery store because there's 700 feds in their neighborhood right now. More licenses are getting suspended because people don't have a way to get to court or the money to pay these fines. You know, and once again, my biggest concern is when already the Hispanic community is not leaving the house unless they have to, right? So when these numbers start dwindling down and their press releases aren't as glamorous as they were, then what happens?
Yeah. Well, we're going to link to all of your to your Instagram, your Facebook page. We'll grab the Venmo too and put that in our podcast and YouTube description. Try and send you as much help as we can. If you got videos that you want us to play, obviously, you know, we're going to be following you on Instagram, so we'll probably pull a bunch of those. But if there's ones that you need to get out there, obviously, really just have great admiration for the work you're doing and really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're incredibly busy to come and tell us about it, and can't ask folks enough to you know, make the effort to go send some help your way, because it sounds like you guys are going to need it for a while. I really appreciate you coming on and talking to us about it, and I really do appreciate and admire the work you're doing.
Thank you, and shout out to Christopher for setting us up. He's your biggest fan.
Well, really appreciate it. All right, thanks very much, Hunter. Appreciate it. Bye-bye. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Sabina Aguerre, she is a Starbucks barista from Columbus, Ohio. She's going to talk about the strike and the consumer boycott of Starbucks. We'll be right back after this. We are back. Sam Seder on the Majority Report. Emma Vigeland out today. Pleasure to welcome to the program Sabina Aguerre, Starbucks barista from Columbus, Ohio. Sabina, I have spoken to many folks who started the Starbucks union 3 or 4 years ago now, I guess. Back at the time they were doing that. And then as we start to see hundreds of unions form across the country, and then ultimately Howard Schultz takes a walk, and the Starbucks, during the Biden administration anyways, said, hey, we have respect for the union. We're going to recognize the union, and we're going to move forward. And then Trump comes into office, and all of a sudden I think they think, oh, wait a second. Maybe we can get away without actually giving you a contract. And I think, who was it that we spoke to 3 or 4 months ago?
Michelle Eisen?
Yeah, we spoke to Michelle Eisen. I think it was 7 months ago now.
No, I think it's been about 4 months.
Okay, 4 months, sometime I've lost my mind here, but, and she was talking, they were hoping that they would get a contract. Well, it appears that it hasn't. Tell us what's been going on.
Yeah, first, I'm a huge fan of the show, guys. This is so crazy. I've been a big fan for a long time. Love you on Bob's Burgers. That's my goat.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So let me go back to Michelle. First of all, I was talking with Michelle today. She remembers talking with you guys. She was very happy. And I would say, yeah, obviously the Trump administration taking control caused major cuts to the NLRB, and put a lot of people in the position where, CEOs specifically, in a position where they think they can take more advantage of their workers. But right now, I would say the campaign's more passionate than ever. If anything, they've just kind of galvanized our base for us. And we're still here, still with the same demands, and we're really excited.
Okay, so walk us through what the demands are. And have you guys all, are all of you on strike, or how many are on strike? And then we'll also talk about the consumer boycott that that I think is underway too. But start with the demands.
Let's start with that. So first, we got 3 major demands. It's going to start with our fair hours, fair wages, and then going into an end to the ULP strike, or the ULP outstanding cases. Starbucks has around 650 outstanding cases right now, and have been officially given the charges for 400, actually more cases. So they are one of the biggest violators of labor law in modern history. And I think that's something
we should say. Those are the ULPs, I think you called them, are unfair labor practices. Yes. that Starbucks is engaged in. That means either they have punished people for organizing, or there's a whole host of things that could be considered unfair labor practices. And these guys are, I guess there's value in being a superlative. They seem to be number one.
They are really good at violating the law, which isn't surprising when the company is run by super wealthy people. I don't think that's super surprising to anyone. Brian Nichols specifically making $96 million in 2024 alone for 666,000 times the average barista. I believe it was around there, which come on, guys.
A satanic amount of profit.
That seems like a wide gap. And
cartoonishly evil.
Right.
Evil.
This, we should just remind people that this basically just comes down to your company has a certain productivity. And the question is there's a handful of people who are board of directors, the CEO, and they're basically just saying we're going to take any extra productivity that is squeezed out of this company, because the amount of work they're doing, if 100 customers comes into the shop as opposed to 50, you're working twice as hard as a barista. But if 100 customers come into that shop as opposed to 50, the CEO is doing the exact same job, but he will take 99.9% of every profit that comes in with those other 50 people. That's basically the bottom line, right? That's the dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's really a testament to the disparity between the classes here in the United States. And I think right now our movement, specifically our unions movement, this season is really it's a stage for the average consumer and every barista, obviously within our union, to take part in this modern labor fight and to actually try to make tangible change with this wealth disparity.
It's also an interesting time in that respect because the government is so hostile to labor rights. Under the Biden administration, it was probably the most pro-labor we've seen in administration, at least probably since the 1960s, I would imagine, off the top of my head. And to build this type of labor solidarity and also solidarity with the community here, because people can participate in this. Talk about that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think obviously right now we're calling for all consumers to stand with the baristas on strike, to not buy Starbucks and stand with their workers. And aside from that, we also have our nocontractnocoffee.org, which is a pledge people can sign, and it also gives them some options to like stay informed on their local campaigns. Here in Columbus, Ohio, we have some social media for our local campaigns, and obviously we encourage people to come out to pickets, which is always great. But I think the most viable thing for most consumers will be to not buy Starbucks, to not cross that picket line, right? And I think that's our job as people in this fight, is to stand with other workers.
How is there a way that people can really, outside of not buying a Starbucks, is there a way that they can communicate that they're not buying Starbucks even more? I mean, I don't know how you like double down on my not buying Starbucks, but is there a way to that gets communicated?
I think the pledge is honestly the best way for a lot of people to get involved. And we're all over the place, right? Our campaign's everywhere. So there is at least probably one shop near you that's union that you can go out to. I know, especially in New York, there's a bunch of shops. I'm sure you guys saw Zorhan at one of the practice pickets there earlier on. So there are plenty of things going on for people to get involved in. And a lot of that goes back to following our union social media and following your local social media and getting involved in that local environment.
All right, great. And we can find all those links at, what is it? nocontractnocoffee.org?
That'll be it.
Okay, great. Well, Sabina Aguerre, did I pronounce your name right? If you listen to the show, you know I can't pronounce anything, right? So I don't feel the same pressure.
I knew it.
I don't feel the same pressure since you've watched the show that you know I can't pronounce any name.
No, it's Aguerre. It's
Aguerre,
Mexican.
Aguerre, yes.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what I'm saying. Is the same thing.
Aguerre. Okay, good. But I really nailed Sabina, so I felt good about that.
You did. Fully.
All right. Well, thanks so much. We'll, of course, link to nocontractnocoffee.org. People can go there, sign the pledge. Extra, don't buy Starbucks these days. And good luck to you guys. And, we'll check in with you soon. Really appreciate it.
Keep your eyes out, guys. We're only growing. We're getting more passionate.
Terrific. All right. Thanks so much, Sabina. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, folks. That does it for the first half of the program. I am going now to sign my No Starbucks pledge. And then I'm going to Venmo the Vecindarios 901 some cash. In the meantime, I saw this the other day, and we had a partnership with Current Affairs for a while. I mean, we love the magazine. Just went through. We did sort of a cross promotion. I don't know if we're doing that anymore, but this is pretty awesome. In the wake of the New York Times, with an op-ed by Bret Stephens, the case for overthrowing Maduro. Like, they just contemplate this, like that it's okay for us to be advocating, it might as well say, the case for doing something completely illegal and illicit.
Well, yeah, you got to hear both sides.
I mean, do you think the New York Times would ever have anybody any op-ed with the title, "The Case for Stealing from Walmart," or "The Case for Putting a Brick Through Citibank's Window," "The Case for
Palestine to assume control of all of Israel.
I'm trying to think of something illegal, right? Like just like patently illegal. But instead, they write "The Case for Overthrowing Maduro." Incidentally, Donald Trump, I don't know if he took their advice, but
this is a good read.
He okayed CIA covert operations in Venezuela, which, yes, don't tell anybody. So Current Affairs posted this, which is fantastic. If you email us proof of cancellation of your New York Times subscription sent to help@currentaffairs.org, we will give you a free year-long digital subscription to Current Affairs. So you could cancel your New York Times subscription, subscribe, I guess, to the Washington Post, although it's not necessarily a huge upgrade.
No, subscribe to the Financial Times instead.
Subscribe to the Financial Times, and then for the price of your New York Times subscription, you'll have a subscription to the Financial Times and Current Affairs. People are putting in there "The Case for Firebombing AI Data Centers," "The Case for Carjacking."
Well, I mean, speaking of New York Times headlines, who do you think this headline from 1938 was about? A new
Hitler.
I'll just read it. A new chapter written in an amazing career. So, yeah.
Are you effing serious?
Adolf Hitler has risen from obscurity to a dominant position in the European scene.
I feel like we see those all the time now, but that one seems to have missed the mark by this much.
Yeah. You remember when they had, was it Tom Cotton or was it Josh Hawley? I get them confused. But
Tom Cotton.
About sending the troops and stuff like that. And people were like, well, it's a sitting, senator saying that. Shouldn't they publish it? It's like, yeah, and then the entire op-ed section should be, look at this fascist freak who wanted us to submit that, and who wanted that in our paper. Instead, it's like, well, it's both sides.
I think Tom Cotton also.
I'm sure they would. I'm sure if Bernie Sanders said, the case for hanging, the CEOs, the top 5 CEOs in Central Square.
Oh, defense of Luigi.
Right. Unbelievable. Well, I don't know. I was very inspired by Hunter Demster. The work they're doing there is just awesome, and they're just the onslaught, going from 3 or 4 calls a day to 140 calls a day. Rather than join the program today, go contribute to Vecindarios 901. We'll put a link in the podcast and YouTube description. Or send them some coffee from Just Coffee at justcoffee.coop. That's actually a tweefer, because I am quite sure they must be drinking a lot of coffee, going through a lot of coffee. We're gonna try and get some whistles for the majority part. We're gonna try and get them at cost. We're gonna try and find some. I don't know. The ones we found are pricey, which, again, we're gonna sell them at cost. But I want to be able to get them to a lot of people. And someone just had an idea of I saw of 3D printing these things, and you can do so for relatively inexpensively. And so if somebody has a 3D printer, like one that's got some durability and wants to make some of these whistles, we will pay for all of the cost associated with it. The spool of plastic and shipping them to us, and we'll do all that. But I don't know. You can send us an email at majorityreporters@gmail.com. Matt, Left Reckoning, Jacobin, who knows what other shows?
Yeah, Left Reckoning yesterday. We talked a little bit about Andrew Schultz, his position on justice and due process with Charlemagne. The funniest thing about that is they set their show in a library.
I know. Like, and it's called
What?
Brilliant Idiots.
Yeah.
So they're like, look at these books we didn't read.
Yeah, like two guys that have never opened up a single book. But and then I also talked to Daniel Boguslaw about the Epstein files, particularly the Larry Summers and Reid Hoffman angles of that. So check that out. Patreon.com/Left Reckoning.
I think we should leave. Where should we reach out for 3D printing them? Send us an email at majorityreporters@gmail.com. Put into the subject line whistles, and we'll take a look at it. We'll see what we got. Somebody's saying you can get a bunch on eBay, but we're looking to do these whistles that people use. You know, they got to be loud. They got to be loud. All right, quick break, fun half.